Tyler Perry used to be the golden ticket. The man with the mansion, the jet, the security detail, and above all the willingness to extend protection when no one else would. When Prince Harry and Meghan Markle burned the royal bridges behind them and fled to America in a storm of media backlash and family silence, it wasn't Buckingham Palace that came to their aid. It wasn't Charles. It wasn't William. It was Tyler, Hollywood's billionaire fairy godfather. He didn't just give them shelter, he gave them dignity, a fortress of peace, and most importantly, a fresh start. Before we get deeper into the truth they don't want you to hear, make sure you subscribe to this channel right now, because this is the story that could blow the roof off Meghan Markle's carefully polished brand. And trust me, you don't want to miss what comes next. For a brief moment it all looked perfect. Harry's Beverly Hills estate became their private palace, his private jet at their disposal, round-the-clock bodyguards. It was the kind of luxury and discretion not even the royal family could guarantee. But it wasn't just about the material gifts. Tyler became family. Literally. Meghan named him godfather to Lilibet, their daughter, a title with sacred weight, both in royal circles and emotionally. It was public, it was proud, it was heartfelt. Netflix rolled the cameras. Tyler gave interviews. Meghan smiled tearfully as she spoke about him. It was the ideal PR fairy tale. But fairy tales tend to fall apart when they meet reality, and in this one, reality came wearing a $260 million lawsuit out of nowhere. Tyler Perry was slapped with a civil suit by actor Derek Dixon, accusing him of running a toxic and abusive workplace. Court documents, production notes, text messages, it all spilled into the headlines like gasoline over a flame, and suddenly, the man once hailed as Hollywood's safe space was being recast as the villain. And Meghan, she vanished. Not physically, but digitally. Her team didn't issue a statement. There were no messages of support, no kind words, no loyalty, just silence. And then, deletion. Perry's name began to disappear from her online world like it had never existed. Posts were scrubbed, photos erased, mentions removed. Even Princess Lilibet's Wikipedia entry was updated. Perry's name quietly changed from is to was godfather. No announcement, no dignity, just erasure. But what Meghan's team failed to consider, what they clearly underestimated, is that Tyler Perry kept everything. Every photo, every message, every moment of whispered planning and crisis management from their Montecito retreat. He had it all, and tucked deep inside the paperwork from that time was something that could flip the entire game: a confidentiality clause. Now, NDAs are nothing new in Hollywood, but this one had a unique twist. If one party publicly disowned the other, the non-breaching party had the legal right to speak, not leak, not hint speak, with full legal protection. That means Tyler Perry, if he feels betrayed in insiders, say he absolutely does, could go public, and not in a vague social media post. We're talking primetime interviews, full-scale narrative takedown with receipts. Meghan's team, in their rush to distance her from the controversy, may have inadvertently triggered that clause. And word inside legal circles is that Tyler's camp knows it. Media producers are already circling, waving offers and blank checks. One major network reportedly offered a high-profile interview slot on par with Oprah's royal sit-down. One executive even joked, "This could out-top Oprah." And here's what makes this truly devastating. Tyler Perry isn't just another Hollywood name. He's respected, he's trusted, and if he opens up, he doesn't have to scream or rage, he just has to tell the truth. Because the truth, in this case, is dynamite. He was there for everything: the private breakdowns, the business calls, the Netflix planning meetings. He saw how decisions were made, how people were used, how friendships were managed like assets. And perhaps most chillingly, he saw the emotional fallout behind the PR smiles. The stuff no camera crew ever caught. And now, Meghan is trying to bury him, but Perry, he's got leverage. And slowly, carefully, he's using it. Sources close to Perry say he's furious not just over being erased, but over the speed and coldness of the move. One day he was family, the next he was a liability. Meghan didn't call, didn't explain, she simply cut ties and moved on, as if the man who once held her world together during its most fragile days had never existed. And in Hollywood, that kind of betrayal isn't just personal, it's strategic. And Perry knows it. What's worse, someone from Meghan's crisis management team allegedly tried to retract a past press release that officially named Perry as godfather, but in the age of the internet, nothing disappears. That retraction didn't just fail, it backfired. The release was cached, screenshotted, and circulated by royal trackers who had been following every Sussex move since day one. The result? It didn't look like distancing. It looked like guilt. And that's when Perry's team began testing the waters, not with a dramatic press tour, but with quiet conversations behind the scenes. trusted media contacts, legal advisors, streaming execs. Everyone wants a piece of the story, but Perry is playing it smart. He's not rushing, he's listening. And what he's hearing is this. The world is ready to hear his side, because while Meghan posts filtered photos of garden parties and pastel-colored lifestyle tips, the comments are overflowing with a different tone. Where's Tyler? They ask. What happened to Uncle Perry? Even her most loyal fans are beginning to ask uncomfortable questions. And for brands tied to Meghan, this is a PR nightmare. One high-end fashion house reportedly paused a campaign featuring Meghan until the Perry dust settles. They're not taking chances. Because if Perry talks and if what he says contradicts the image Meghan has built, the backlash will be nuclear. This isn't just speculation. PR firms are worried. Brand analysts are tracking sentiment trends, and the pattern is unmistakable. Meghan's public image is beginning to crack not because of Perry, but because of her response to Perry, or more accurately, the lack of one. And here's what makes this truly catastrophic. Perry isn't the first. Jessica Mulroney, Serena Williams, Oprah, once close, now conspicuously absent. And every time controversy came close, the same pattern played out: distance, delete, and distract. But Perry isn't a stylist or a tennis player or a talk show host. He's a media empire. He's a billionaire with influence, and he's got nothing left to prove. If Meghan had simply said nothing and let the relationship fade quietly, maybe this wouldn't be a story, but she didn't. She actively erased him, and in doing so, she may have triggered the one clause that could give Perry legal cover to unload the truth. And here's what we know so far. Perry is compiling documentation, not for revenge, but for insurance. Voice notes, texts, emails, photos, drafts of strategy memos, even early versions of the Netflix docuseries scripts, some of which never aired. All of it adds up to one thing: a first-hand record of how Meghan and Harry operated behind closed doors, and if that ever sees the light of day, the fallout could be irreversible, because Perry isn't a tabloid source. He's credible, he's composed, and he has nothing to gain from lying. That's what makes this so dangerous to Meghan's empire, because once he speaks, the public won't be wondering if he's telling the truth. They'll be wondering why. Meghan tried so hard to erase him in the first place. And Harry, insiders say he's unraveling. Torn between his loyalty to the man who protected his family and the woman who built his brand, he remembers what Perry did. The home, the security, the peace. When no one else answered their calls, Perry did. And now he's forced to watch in silence as Meghan wipes that kindness from the record. It's breaking him. But Meghan's team has made their decision. No attachments, no liabilities, no risks to the brand. And if that means ghosting the godfather of their child, so be it. Only, now, it's all backfiring. Because Tyler Perry isn't just holding a grudge, he's holding the keys to the entire narrative, and Meghan's silence. It's no longer being read as dignity. It's being interpreted as cold calculation. When your entire brand is built on loyalty, authenticity, and empowerment, ghosting the man who offered you refuge, love, and protection in your darkest hour sends one message. The brand matters more than the bond, and the world is starting to see through the carefully filtered Instagram posts and pastel press campaigns. The audience isn't buying the curated lifestyle anymore. They want answers, and if Perry provides them, Meghan's entire post-royal reinvention, her podcast empire, her media company, her luxury partnerships, her image as the modern woman's icon could fall apart. Because this story isn't just about betrayal, it's about exposure. Tyler Perry doesn't need to exaggerate. He doesn't need drama. All he needs is a microphone and a few pieces of evidence. And what he has is damning. Emails where Harry panics over headlines, voicemails where Meghan discusses cutting people off for optics, strategy sessions where Perry witnessed firsthand how decisions were made not out of heart, but out of branding necessity. Even worse, Perry may not be alone. Sources suggest that other former Ellie's people who have also been cut out, silenced, or distanced are watching this unfold closely. And if Perry makes the first move, it gives them permission to speak to what was once a single spark, could become a wildfire. A collective reckoning. A collapse of the image Meghan has spent years meticulously crafting. And here's the irony. Meghan's silence, meant to control the narrative, is what's unraveling it. Every deleted post, every missing photo, every quiet disassociation is feeding the suspicion instead of protecting her brand. It's making people question if the brand itself is built on a lie. Tyler Perry is not a man to cross lightly. He didn't build a billion-dollar empire by staying quiet when wronged. He built it by standing firm, speaking truth, and trusting the power of narrative. And now, he's sitting on a goldmine of truth that the world is ready to hear. Because this isn't just about Meghan. It's about what happens when kindness is commodified, when loyalty becomes a transaction, and when gratitude is erased by strategy. And in that equation, Harry becomes the tragic hero, the man who gave everything, only to be discarded when he was no longer convenient. If and when he speaks, it won't just damage Meghan's brand, it could destroy the public's trust in everything she claims to stand for. And the fallout wouldn't stop there. Netflix deals, sponsorships, public appearances, all of them hinge on one thing: credibility, and Harry's story could strip that away in a single headline. So now, the world waits. Will Harry break his silence? Will he release the files, the messages, the timeline that exposes how the royal fairy tale was never as honest as it seemed? Or will Meghan find a way to spin this to another chapter in her long game of narrative control? Whatever happens, one thing is clear: the days of silent loyalty are over. The curtain is being pulled back, and the people are watching. So if you followed this story, if you felt the shift, if you're ready to hear the real version of what went down between Hollywood's most powerful producer and the world's most talked about duchess, then don't stay on the sidelines. Subscribe to this channel right now, because the truth is coming, and when it does, you'll want to be the first to hear it. Turn on notifications. Leave a comment, what do you think Tyler Perry should do? And share this video, because when loyalty meets silence, the fallout is louder than ever. This is the story they don't want told, and it's only just beginning.